Crypto or stocks? 2025 gains. Who wins? Hey guys, it's Kevin. I love that picture. I don't know if you've got the same sentiment that I did, but it's got amazing energy. But it often makes us think that there's a binary choice between the two. And in reality, there's not a binary choice. Both crypto and stocks are great investment options for you. I think it's important, really, quite honestly, to invest in all of it, to diversify yourself, whether it's investing in stocks, in crypto, bonds, ETFs. There's so many great options out there for us as investors. It's important that we don't just have a binary choice, but we think about all of the options for us. But today I want to talk a little bit about stocks and crypto. And the reality is, if I sat back and said to you, if we looked at 2025, one of those two investment choices gained 18% on the year, and the other one lost 9%. Would you be able to tell me which one it is? Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. But the reality is, if you look at the energy that's focused on those two investment options in 25, you may be surprised that the one that actually made money is not the one that's getting all the attention. So today, guys, in this video, we're going to take a look at crypto and stocks in 2025. It's not going to be hype. It's not going to be predictions. It's going to be real results over the course of the year. And I think I'm going to also explain why one, in my opinion, why one gets massively overlooked. But before I do that, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'd love for you to join the community. I want you to make sure you get notified when my next video hits. It makes a big difference for me. So please take a moment and hit like. Like I said today, I want to break down both options, because when I look across social media, if it's YouTube or another platform, I love the amount of energy and excitement that I see regarding investments, stocks, and crypto. But I will tell you, I do feel and I do see so much more energy and excitement with regards to crypto. I'll get inundated with videos that talk about the next 100x coin, or that this token is going to explode, or are we getting ready for the next bull cycle? I think it's great, but I just wonder why stocks get ignored. And I think when you look at the stuff that people perceive as boring in this case, it may surprise you that boring wins more often than not. So let's jump in. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to share a graph with you to get us started. I want to hear your opinions on it as well. So let's get started on that. What you see on your screen right now is the real returns from 2025. I'm looking at the S&P 500. You guys know that's a diversified index, the top 500 companies in the US, and I'm comparing it to crypto. In this case, it's not all of crypto. I'm using Bitcoin and Ethereum as a surrogate to measure crypto. If you don't think that's fair, put it in the comments, but this is the crypto that's in the majority of people's portfolios. If you look at how they performed over the course of 2025, you'll see the S&P 500 drove an 18% return. And when you take a look at Bitcoin, in this case, Bitcoin and Ethereum, you'll see with a combination of those two is about a negative 9% return. Bitcoin had a -6, Ethereum had a negative 11%. I'm going to stop there and pause and just say, so we've got one option that drove 18% return over 2025, and we have another option which lost 9%. Guys, that's not an opinion. That's math. And here's where it gets interesting to me. As I mentioned earlier, there's so much more excitement. There's more engagement on social media with crypto. There's more views. There's more clicks. There's more comments. I don't know why, but here's my opinion. I'd like to hear yours in the comments below, but here's my opinion. I think crypto sells possibility. Stocks sell reality. I think crypto promises wild upside, where stocks deliver steady compounding results. And YouTube doesn't reward boring in this case, but boring often wins. So stocks themselves may not feel exciting because they don't move 20% in a week. They're steady, but that's exactly the point. If you remember what I just showed you earlier, the S&P 500 is the diversified index, and it had 18% growth on the year. That's an amazing outcome. And I want you to take a look at this next slide as well. It's a little different way to look at it. But if we just looked at individual investments, so get away from the diversified index, A lot of my videos focus on the AI marketplace. I've talked about these 4 options: Micron, NVIDIA, Lam Research, and Google. And I want to compare those to Bitcoin and Ethereum over the course of 2025. If you take a look at the third column around 2025 return, and you look about if you invested $1,000 in these individual investments at the beginning of the year, look what it would have turned into by the end of the year, compared to what if you invested in Bitcoin or Ethereum at the beginning. Look what it had turned into at the end. Guys, amazing upside in these stocks. Now, you may say that, Kevin, that's unfair. We had a bear cycle with Bitcoin and crypto in 2025, and we're gearing up for the next bull cycle. And you may be right. I'm learning a ton about crypto. I'm an old school kind of traditional investor myself. I have a lot of friends. Shout out to Austin Hilton, who's teaching me a ton about crypto. And I think it's an amazing opportunity as well. But stocks are steady. They're consistent. You don't have to worry about leverage. You don't have to worry about your wallets being hacked. You don't have to worry about regulation or rugs being pulled out. They're just solid companies in the US that are building infrastructure, making products, delivering values to consumers, and driving revenue each quarter and each year. Stocks don't get the love because they're not fast enough. They feel slow. But if you take a step back and you look at it from a high level, you may be surprised at what amazing growth they're driving and why they may be the right choice for you. I want to talk a little bit also about how this is not an anti-crypto video. Like I said, I think crypto is an amazing investment. I do think we're going to go to a bull cycle soon. I think it's a great long-term investment for you. And crypto can have massive upside, but it can also have massive volatility, and you need to be ready for that. And there's a couple things I think that I just want to get across that's clear to me, I always took away, is that I think people sometimes confuse excitement and energy with returns. Guys, 2 things I want you to remember is that attention doesn't equal performance. I'm going to say it again. Attention doesn't equal performance. And the other piece, I have an analyst friend of mine that said, trade the trend, that he wouldn't be in the business if he didn't trade the trend. And right now, the trend is with AI, and the trend is with all the companies that are building up the infrastructure and investing in that space. I want to show you one other thing before I jump off and give you my close. But if I just show you this, for those that are new to investing, I've got a couple people that reached out and said, what would I select? Sometimes it's hard to pick an individual winner. So I want you to think about an ETF, an exchange traded fund. Very simply, you don't have to pick an individual winner. You can get a fund here that has all of them in the same basket. And so you diversify your risk and you're able to benefit from the performance of all these companies. Here's 3 that I'd like you to think about. If you look at their symbol, it's SPY, which is the standard S&P 500 fund. You have QQQ, which looks at the top 100 NASDAQ companies. And then you have one that's purely focused on the semiconductor industry. Guys, look at the results on these across 1, 3, and 5 years. Amazing returns. If I go left to right in a 5-year period, over a 14%, over a 15%, and over a 27%. Steady companies, diversified risk across a bunch of companies, and solid performance here. So this is a great option for you to consider as well. Don't forget about ETFs. I can make another video on ETFs later. If you find that valuable, give me a like. But in the end, here's the real question. If stocks can perform this well and drive this type of performance while being ignored, what else may we be missing that doesn't have a flashy thumbnail? So at the end of the day, guys, just remember that stocks, and I'd love to hear your comments in below, that are stocks underrated right now? Is crypto getting ready to get on a bull cycle? And are we missing that? Are there other stocks that you like that it didn't include? Should I include other ETFs? Like to hear your comments below. Drop them in the section. I'll engage with you. Also, make sure you hit that like button. And in closing, one last thing I want to say. Just remember, boring money, it still spends the same and it still feels good. Have a good night, guys. Take care.